Hello and welcome back to the Simply Greg Show. Thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in and locked out with us today. Today we're speaking about how to use food to build fruitful relationships, and we're speaking to Mr. Motivator himself, Ben Green. Yeah, so obviously the owner of Activ8tion, and he's also the author of A Step to
Activ8tion Volume 1.
That's it, Volume 1 as well. And he's also National Diversity Award winner.
Thank you.
Amazing. So yes, obviously Ben was talking to us earlier on about the work that he does in bringing early interventions within the schools, especially with, challenging behaviours with the youth and so forth.
That's
and,
right.
Obviously, where there's neurodisabilities and so forth. And some of the interventions and foundations that you put in place in order to build better relationships.
Absolutely.
And what parents can also do to be more engaged with their kids, to really intervene in a process and enable them to develop as young individuals who can thrive later on in the future. Now, earlier on, obviously, you told us about some of the challenging behaviors and incidents that you've got involved in order to put in your interventions to kind of help. And you've also noticed certain patterns, that has emerged continuously, because you've been doing this for years.
Donkey's years.
Yeah, donkey.
Yeah, since I was 15.
Oh, for real?
I mean?
Yeah. Which once again was just like a few years ago. So what is, earlier on, obviously we was talking about some of the challenges that you often see. What are some of the most impactful things that you've put in place that you've noticed have made a difference? I know you mentioned about food as well, which I was like, what? And it's like, so please talk to us about some of the steps that people can all take, whether it's they've got a kid or whether it's someone with challenging behavior or whether it's just even adults' relationship as well.
So I think we're going to stick with the food.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Because I think that's really important. Like we discussed earlier, is like it's a physiological need.
Yeah.
If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's the foundation. So we need food to survive. You need water, you need rest, you need safety. Yeah. Unless you've got them in place, you can't.
Elevate to the next.
You can't elevate to the next step. So, do you know what? Using food as a tool to engage children and young people it's something that I've developed over time, and it has become probably the most impactful intervention
that you've put in place.
I've put in place. Because I come from a fitness background, so people think I'll just do fitness training with kids. You know what I mean? Which I do. Yeah. But the food element is really, really, it's been fantastic. Well. Yeah, really important. But it's not. We go through. It's the whole process of knowing where the food's come from, knowing where to go in the shops. You know what I mean? So, for example, when I first started working with a pupil, we'll talk about. I don't really go into like the terminology to go too much into like. What foods do what, protein, you know what I mean? We look at fresh foods, treat foods. Yeah. What are treat foods? So people say, so we can have them every so often, once a week, you know what I mean? Which is fine. I say, okay, what do you think? What are fresh foods? So foods that give you energy for the day, and they're going to give you nutrients. So what we sort of do is get them to write down their list, so they understand, like the differentiate between the two. What we also do is we teach them how to do like a stock check in the kitchen. So if you're going to go shopping, first of all, you'll check what you've already got in the cupboards, in the fridge. You know what I mean? So you're not overspending. You look at budgeting as well.
So you're really teaching them how to kind of take on that responsibility as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's the whole process. You know what I mean? These are the foundations, the early intervention. You know what I mean?
So with the parents, parents can also do this as well, rather than.
So I do this within the educational sector and the community as well. Yeah. So once we've done that, we then take them to the supermarket. You know what I mean? Then we look for the foods that are on the list. So they can locate them. So showing some independence around the supermarket. You know what I mean? If they're unable to find something, what do you have to do, Greg? You know what I mean? So you go and ask a shop assistant. How are you going to ask them? Are you going to say, "Excuse me, can I?"
So these are literal life skills that you're helping implement into their day to day.
Yeah. Okay. Especially children working with neurodisabilities. Language is sometimes a disadvantage for them. So again, it's building their confidence up to be in public and to ask a stranger for help. You know what I mean? It's massive. So if I can do that with them, so I'm in that comfort blanket, you know what I mean? And you sort of build it up. So initially I may go and ask them, excuse me, sort of look at them, they know I'm with a pupil. Can you tell me where the cheese is, please? Or can you tell me where the, you know, where the apples are, please? Yeah. And then, then there was, and we sort of reflect on that. So can you see how I said that then? How easy it was? Yeah. Did anything bad happen? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they're playing the worst case scenario. Yeah.
And it's building their confidence as well.
It's building their confidence. So yeah, we take them shopping. Then it's the money management as well. Okay, you've got a £20 budget. Yeah. So what are we going to do? So even before you go to the supermarket, you do your shopping list. Yeah. You budget in the shopping list. That. Yeah. So you know what you're going to the supermarket for. Yeah. And you know you've got a certain amount of money to spend. Again, it's all the life skills.
Yeah, that you're implementing.
Implementation, yeah. So once we've done the shop, then we go back and then obviously put all this stuff in where does the meat go? Does it go in the cupboard? Does it go in the fridge? Does it go in the freezer? You know what I mean? Where do the pastas go? Where do the rice go? Yeah. So it's the full process.
Okay, so you take them through that full process, and they have a better understanding holistically of that whole process as well. And how has that been able to be significant kind of intervention in that process? Why is this so important? Like, because someone's hearing, like, okay, you're just listing out a shopping list. How's that going to help little Johnny? Yeah. Like, who's throwing a tantrum or something like that?
But like we're talking about, you've got children who are neurotypical, children who have neuro disabilities as well, and we can't categorize them. You know what I mean? We can't. Everyone's different. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when we take a group of kids out, you have to adapt to their needs. You know what I mean? So we can't categorize or generalize. Sorry, that's generalize. We can't generalize. So yeah, that's really, really important.
Okay, so basically, first and foremost, you utilize this intervention because it's something that we all need as a day-to-day kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why not use this, this opportunity, whether it be as a parent or whatever it is, a carer, utilize that opportunity to be able to build that relationship with a child and get them involved and also increase their responsibility and their confidence and life skills as well. So
you, mate.
You should pay me for this.
Later on, yeah.
That's it.
It's you need to find out why it's like the interventions. What's the purpose behind it? I mean, you see like the practical side, but what is the purpose behind it?
So basically, it's also identifying what the issue is that you'd like to obviously address in this particular situation, because one person is acting like that or another child is in a different way. So it depends on your child or that particular individual.
Some people who I work with may have social anxiety. So slowly integrating them into a public area, you know what I mean? That's going to benefit in the long run. So that could be like that could be an outcome for them, is to improve their, to support their social anxiety. You know what I mean? So we may work with a psychologist or psychotherapist to do that.
To usher that
in. You know what I mean? Because you need to be very mindful of some of the interventions you put in place, because it could have an opposite effect if you don't understand if they've got a clinician in place, it may sort of counteract what they're already doing. So this is really important. Why you work with the clinicians.
So what are some of the also practical things that anyone could do at home, and that can bring about interventions as well, and a different kind of character types as well, so that at least anyone listening is not just hearing it from one perspective, but how they can address it depending on their child. They're listening, but like, okay, little Rebecca is acting in different ways, so little Johnny is little Johnny, so just give us like different practicalities now that we can all kind of apply as well.
Yeah, I think, as parents and carers, you should know your children anyway. You should know what their triggers are, if you know what I mean. If you're unsure, then there's professionals around you. Like in the schools, there should be like special SENCOs, special educational needs coordinators, which can support you with strategies and stuff like that. But it all depends on, like, there's so many different challenges out there. You know what I mean? So it all depends on obviously that child and the young person. once you understand what their needs are, then you can, like, for example, I'm going to give you an example. So some children may not deal with change very easy. Yeah, so if you put something sporadic, okay, they're doing, for example, doing something to do with play. Okay, now we're doing this, and it's unexpected. That can trigger them. Yeah, so having something like a visual timetable on the wall. Okay, 1 to 1:30, you're doing some Lego. Yeah, 2 to 2:15, you're having a snack. Yeah, so that gives that child and young person structure through the day, and that relieves any anxiety behaviours because they know what's coming. They know what's happening, so it's really important to stick to them. That structure as well. So if you've got a child who is anxious or needs more visual cues, having a visual timetable, like they do that a lot in schools as well. Having that visual timetable works wonders. Very simple, and some parents may be listening, may think it's when something's too simple. You know what I mean? You think it's not really going to work. You know, they may think, we need something more. But it's just start with the basics.
And what's been some of the things that, I know I mentioned it earlier on, but I was trying to identify from you, and I don't think I've got that. What's the main thing that you found that most parents have come to you for? Yeah, what do you think it is?
Structure.
Okay. So they've wanted to put structure in place to spend more time with their kids then?
Yeah, or just structure within the house, within just like, maybe like environmentally. Even like within the bedroom as well. Some children may be struggling to sleep. Yeah. Okay. So you look at their bedroom. What is their bedroom? What's their setup like? Have they got a TV in there? What's the lighting like? You know what I mean? These sort of things. So again, that's like a common. I wouldn't say an issue.
A common thing that
pops up is structure in the family home.
And you've worked through putting structures in place to help with the family kind of. Intervention and get better. And,
absolutely. Yeah. So I've done that. I do that quite a lot. And do you know, sometimes, Greg, I'll get just random people, people from the community. Obviously, my number's on my website.
Now everyone's going to run there.
No! It's like,
all these give me a
fans call. My name, my number is on the website. No, but I'm here to serve the community.
I know what you mean.
But and I just get calls for concerns, or they just need somebody to talk to. You know what I mean? Just for some reassurance.
Because
they want to know, am I doing the right thing? Can I do anything better? And don't get me wrong, I haven't got the answers for everything. I'm not. I don't. So I'm not the saviour.
I thought you was.
But what I like to say, if I haven't got an answer for you, let me signpost. And do you know what, Greg? When I first started out doing what I'd done, when I started Activ8, I thought I could help everyone. Do you know what I mean? But that's just that's just, I'm here to help, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I got myself in sort of a bit of a rut because I felt I wasn't achieving. You know what I mean?
Because you wanted to do so much.
Because I want to do so much. And that can have a massive ripple effect and be quite damaging.
And what are some of the basic, just to list out some stuff now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, basic things that you think parents can do to take awareness of their relationship with their children? Where do they start? Because all of these things that you're mentioning as well, I'm like, where's the starting point as well? Because I think you've obviously worked with them in terms of, in schools and so forth. And I know that when you do a bit of work with them, then you pass them on to their parents. But the parents may not necessarily continue, or the parents may not know how to maintain that standard of performance as well. And I want to make sure there's a bridge. Whoever's listening can also be able to kind of take that on board as well.
No, thank you for that, Greg. And this is a really, really important. The key thing is, if your child has got strategies in school, really take your time to even get a meeting in the school just to really understand the strategies that are being put in school, because they're done by professionals. I know parents, they're the parents, and you know what I mean? And obviously parents want the best for the kids, but the professionals are there for a reason. So it's really important to understand the strategies which are in school so you can they're transferable to take into the family.
So you'd basically say for parents to also, or carers as well, to be more involved in what's going on in schools and get a better understanding.
They have to be.
And take notes from that, because it's true. They're spending like 8 hours or so of their day.
No, if you think about it,
it's
massive time. It's massive time. And So yeah, understanding the strategies which are in place, I think that is probably the key.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's listening.
Yeah.
Listen to your kids.
Yeah.
What are they saying? And like we always say, behaviour is a form of communication. Yeah. So sometimes is like when you see some challenging behaviour, rather than addressing the behaviour, so what are they communicating? What do they need? What are they trying to say through that behaviour? Because some children I work with, they're non-verbal. They can't talk.
Yeah.
So what are they trying to communicate through their behaviour?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So listening to your kids, listen to your children, or even any practitioner, teachers listening to this, make sure you're listening, taking that time to, or giving the child that space to express how they feel.
And that's always important as well.
That's really important, Greg.
And it's also, from what I pick up, it's like just being in tune with what's going on with, your children, like what they're listening to, what they're doing, or just be involved in their life more so than just you push them to school, they come back, you push them to their room, or you push them towards playing games or whatever, you push them to your friends. It's almost like, you spent so many years with them, raising them up, and now you're just kind of getting them, pushing them to someone else. Yeah. Like
another point I wanted to make, Greg, as well. There's a saying what we like to say is strike when the iron's cold. Okay, so if your child has sort of displayed some challenging behaviour and they're really angry, try not to, but I advise you not to. Speak to them in that present moment, because you might get it might have a reactive effect. You know what I mean? If you're challenging that behaviour in that moment, it's not going to be as effective. So it's all about once that child or young person has regulated a little bit, then that'll be a better time to have that reflection time with them.
How do you think is best then to kind of like address, and for a parent to even address these kind of issues? How do they talk to the child, or how do they even go about the whole process as well? What would you say?
I think for one, you need to be, if you're addressing a child's behaviour, be in an environment where they feel comfortable to express themselves. Okay, that's the main thing. If you take them outside their comfort zone, they may sort of withdraw a little bit. Yeah, and you need to approach it. Advise you to approach it in a supportive stance, not be a disciplinarian. Yeah. So Johnny, I see that he was frustrated. Okay, I can see there was an issue there. I can see at that present time he wasn't ready to talk. I understand that. So you show that empathy. You show that you understand that young person. You understand your child. Can you tell me what was up? Are you ready to talk to me? Are you ready to talk? Yeah. You can't force them to talk at a time where they're not ready. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you give them the control. Yeah.
And you also mentioned about having interventions like obviously using food, and you gave us the example of doing the groceries and going out there and applying life skills. And getting them to kind of do that whole process. Obviously, they bring it back home, and it's kind of like the cooking time, right? Because you have to kind of put it in process. How can you also utilize that process to engage with the kids?
I mean, all parents cook dinner, right? So, well, we say most. Most. Yeah, most. Yeah. I think it should be, like I say, it should be scheduled in. There should be an official activity. Do you know what I mean? So like Johnny.
So rather than a mundane day-to-day kind of thing of which like whatever parent is just doing it because everyone has to eat, it should be more an event.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Like they go to their sport, like Johnny goes to the sports club, he goes to football every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Johnny is cooking time with mum and dad or carer. Yeah. Can Johnny cook what he's learnt in school? So that's what I tend to do as well. Once I've worked with a child on a one-to-one basis, I always speak to the parents and carers after, tell them what we've done, how we've done it, the successes, sort of areas development, and I'll send the recipe home as well, so to show them. Yeah.
And what are some of the kind of like final kind of thoughts that you would say in general from someone like yourself who has been through this process, of being able to put in early interventions in schools and also for families and people that have come to you. I know obviously you've got your book out there currently at the present moment. And what were some of the things that you was able to address in that book? And what are some of the kind of, final gems that you would actually say to anyone who is in a position where either they've got a challenge, a child with a challenging behavior or school, or just in general as a community, certain things that we all need to be aware of as well, that maybe we're not aware of, because even when it comes to neurodisabilities, it's one that is not seen. And
that's the thing, you can't see a neurodisability, it's invisible. Do you know what I mean? And when you see Johnny, we keep referring to Johnny.
I know, Johnny's like, what have I done, man? Ease
Johnny,
me up. Like.
Shout out to Johnny. Yeah? When you see Johnny...
I bet someone's like listening or watching to this, and the name is Johnny, and it was like...
when you see Johnny in a supermarket having a meltdown, if you're uneducated on neurodisabilities, you can just see him as a naughty child. Look at Johnny, like that. You know what I mean? You sort of like, he's just being naughty. You think, right, okay, he needs to have consequences. What you don't know, Johnny is very sensitive to sound. He's having a meltdown. He can't regulate because the supermarket's too noisy for him. Mum's forgot the ear defenders. Yeah.
So it's taking note of all of these small things.
Yeah. So, at the moment, I think off the back of COVID, mental health conditions are more prominent now. Okay. And I feel people are more educated on your anxiety, your depressions. So let's start educating ourselves around autism a bit more, around ADHD, around, you know what I mean? So some neuro disabilities. So we can create I think the more we do that, we can be a more inclusive society.
Okay, so everyone kind of taking a responsibility to kind of draw a spotlight to it, however they can, discussing it, talking about it, and kind of like, okay, addressing those particular things. And what were some of the things that you also addressed in your book? And I know you've got another book coming out as well.
Yes, yeah. So we're doing a second edition of the original book. So we should add in an extra 4 chapters in, but I can't say any more than that. But the book was it was such a pleasure to write it, because it's quite easy, Greg, because it's what I do within the educational sector already, and in the community. So there's 8 chapters in the book. You're going to put me on the spot now. I need to think what I wrote. So we got a chapter around reflection, and it's an activity book. Okay. So kids do. Yeah. There's writing in, there's drawing, there's, you know what I mean? It's a book of self-discovery. So you can't get anything wrong in a book. Yeah. It's about you, but just a book, the way I've written the book. We've got 6 characters in the book, and the way I've written is that the characters speak to the kids when they're reading it. So there's a book. There's a chapter on reflection, chapter on feelings and emotions, a chapter on exercise. There's a chapter called "Let's Get Fit." A chapter on well-being and factors which can affect your well-being. There's a chapter called "Food, Glorious Food." Okay. And there's a chapter on sleep. So for me, they're the basic components for me personally. That's my opinion on well-being. And
that's something of which both parents can also get involved with their kids.
Absolutely.
As well. And everyone,
okay. Yeah, absolutely. So we want children to be independent with it, but it's a really good tool to strengthen the family bond as well. You know what I mean?
And what about schools? Is there any kind of final words that you've got mentioned about to schools and them even putting things in place, or or let's say other businesses being involved in kind of like lending a hand? Is there anything?
Do you know? I think schools are more aware of. They're putting more awareness into mental health and well-being within the schools now. Yeah. But there's still more to be done. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, for example, like, we're going to take PE, for example. Not all pupils are able to engage in PE. One, because they may not like sports. 2, they may not have the confidence to play a sport.
So would that say, would it, rather than writing it all off, would it be now putting certain things in place to help those on different levels then?
So some of my interventions, we just do confidence building sessions. Or physical literacy sessions, which are not sport-based, but it's just fundamental movements to build confidence of how that child moves. Yeah. And the goal is, the next step is to integrate them into PE, you know what I mean? So they can integrate, and so it's more confident to do the activities with other pupils.
Yeah.
Because if you think of a pupil who is unable to move as well as another pupil, or that could be quite daunting for them. You know what I mean? And that can cause some anxiety. So what we tend to do is just build up their confidence. And also, with our programs as well, we make them doable. The important thing is not setting your pupils or your child up to fail. Make the programs a little more easier, so you know they're going to achieve it. Once they've achieved something, they're going to feel better in themselves.
And
right?
it gets a buy-in as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's not just with the active kind of stuff like that. It's like you mentioned, also the cooking or anything else as well, to kind of get your child engaged with certain things.
I mean, naturally, we want our children to succeed, right? We want them to achieve, but at the same time, you need to layer it. Yeah. Don't chuck them into the deep end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you see all the things that you was talking about as well. Does that also work with adults as well?
Absolutely.
Rather than just,
absolutely. Yeah. It's fundamentals.
That's what I was wondering. Like, can I throw it down in the kitchen and kind of like build?
Don't worry, I'm gonna get you in a cooking session. I'll get you on a cooking show, Greg. Trust me.
That's it.
But it's all transferable skills. It's throughout life. It's a life skill.
Yeah.
Regardless of what age you learn it, you still need to learn it.
Yeah.
Which is really important. Like I said, the earlier you learn it, the more it becomes second nature.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much for obviously sharing everything you've been able to share so far about how to also use food, you know, to build fruitful relationships, and also the early interventions that we can all put in place towards building better relationship, whether it be with the children or the young individuals that we're working with, or you know, caring after or looking after and so forth as well. You told us so much, you know, some of the challenges that you've had to face in, you know, putting the interventions in place, and, you know, knowing how each pupil also like communicates, you know, not everyone is verbal. Sometimes, you know, they express themselves physically. So it's just about everyone, or even parents, more importantly, getting to know their children, and also connecting with the schools to better understand the strategies and plans that are in place, to spend more time as well with their kids at home. If they don't have time, find the time, and to also put small practical activities in place to help increase their confidence and responsibility around the house, and so forth as well. So, Ben, it's been a pleasure, obviously, speaking to you.
So much.
Yeah, and you know, and thank you for sharing so much as well, Mr. Diversity Award. Hey. So you've got another book obviously coming up soon, which you said you're obviously writing and you're going to put out. How can people also connect with you, and how can they also get the book as well?
So we've got our website, which is www.activ8tion.co.uk. Also on our social media platforms, so on Facebook, Activ8tion, Instagram, Activ8tion. You can also connect with me directly on Instagram. Yeah. The Activator.
Yeah, that's it. That makes me laugh. The Activator.
So with regards to the book, you can buy it on most platforms. We sold on like digitally, so it's sold on WH Smith foils. Waterstones. So you can just literally type Steps to Activation Volume 1 into the search engine, it'll bring it up.
And that's it. And if any schools want to book you, they can just contact you.
Book me in.
That's it.
Book me in.
Simply Greg Show will take a cut out of that as well, 20%.
Well, like I like to say, everyone, I'm here to support. I'm here to serve, mate. Yeah, that's what I'm here to do. So. Yeah,
that's
Hit me up.
There, look here. So that was Ben Green there, and thank you very much for everyone who's locked in and locked out with the Simply Greg Show. As you already know, once again, it's all about elevating the mind and inspiring the community by spotlighting hidden gems in the community, and that's ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And today was Ben Green. Next week we've got another amazing guest as well, as per usual. And once again, it's just about showing you that there are amazing people out there who are making a difference. Get connected and get linked in, and also extend your reach and your purpose towards making a bigger difference in order to improve our society as well. So today was Ben Green. Next week we've got another amazing guest, but thank you for everyone who's been locked in and locked out with us as per usual. That's it. You can also connect with us at Simply Greg Show on Instagram, at Simply Greg Show on Facebook. I normally say life is complicated enough, why make it no more? Simply Greg. See you soon. Take care.